Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Kindness Podcast. My guest today is author, writer, creative Gary Lloyd Helm. I'm going to bring him on. We're going to talk about books, his journey with writing, and all kinds of great stuff. So, hope you guys enjoy the show. All right, how you doing today, Gary?
Hanging right in there. I'm doing fine.
So, tell us about yourself. How long have you been writing for? Any surname you use for writing?
I have been writing for many, many, many years, 50 that I know of for certain. The name that I use is my real name. It's only I say G. Lloyd rather than Gary. So you can look for me all over Amazon as G.LLOYDHELM. What I write, I started out writing like almost fantasy. My first book was called Other Doors. And it was about how a man could stop war by simply saying, stop. But of course, the gods in the world where he was were not all that happy about this. But anyway, that was my first book. That was back in 1996. And I have continued writing ever since. I mean, I've got tons and tons of short stories out in anthologies and magazines all over the world, again, under the name G.LLOYDHELM. I've written for newspapers too, especially for the Los Angeles Times. I've had several things in there. I've got 9 books out right now available on the market, and especially the last 3, have been straight ahead literature, especially about the mid-1960s and college in Tennessee during that time, when we were addressing integration on campus and general protests about racism all over. And at the time, the last book, called Sufficient, is during the time right before Dr. King's assassination. So, I don't know, it's all very dear to me. Especially last.
So when you're writing, I'm guessing it's very non-fictional. You're writing, I would say, right? Correct?
Well, it's fiction, but
okay.
I gotta say that almost all of my writing, even back when I was writing pure fantasy, is pretty much thinly veiled my life. Yeah. And the last 3 books especially have all been, they're fiction, but not exactly.
So, what inspires your writing? I know, real life stories, though, but what gets you, the pen to paper? What makes you, want to write a story about that time or, that story?
Yeah, I really wish I knew. Just, I have had the urge, the desire to write stories for, like I said, more than 50 years. I actually started back before college writing some poetry and then writing some fiction as well. And it's just never gone away. I mean, there have been times when I feel as though I don't want to write anymore, but I can't quit. It's really an addiction.
It's awesome. So when you first started writing, were you self-published or did you have a publisher?
Well, when I first started with Other Doors, I collected 1,000 rejects, and I mean that literally, and I've still got it. It's a file you can't see, but it's this thick, okay? I finally said, okay, these people don't really want to know, so I put together a publishing company called Mouseprints and published my first novel myself. And sold many in face-to-face sales all over the place. Then one day, I don't know why, but I got an email from a publisher up north. And he said, we really love this book, this story, but the editing is lousy. Can we take it and republish it, re-edit it, and republish it under our imprimatur? I said, yeah, of course. And they have been my publisher ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
when you're playing at writing, are you more of a plotter or pantser in terms of your writing? Do you like lay out like stories, or do you have like come ideas just come to you and you start writing?
Mostly I'm a by the seat of my britches.
Mm, I love it. I love it.
I have an idea where I want to go, but I'm not entirely sure how to
Mm.
start out.
Mm.
But I have always wound up at the end where I thought I was going to at the beginning. But the path to get to that ending is usually pretty windy.
So, when you first started writing and growing up, who were some influences in terms of writers, for newspapers, authors, like any type of like published
That is
books?
pretty easy. I am addicted to words in a line, any of them. I read everything. The big influences from earlier in my life was Robert Heinlein, who writes science fiction, and but also Ray Bradbury and tons of other science fiction writers, which for a long time that was almost exclusively what I read. But as I got older, then I started reading people like John Steinbeck, and even farther along, Hemingway. And these guys, they really have influenced me a lot, especially lately, Hemingway.
Cool. So let's shift a little bit to the business side of things. To another writing part is like what you love to do, but the business side of it too. Talk a little about that too. How you I know you said you created your own publishing company, but talk a little background about that too, like funding and like getting it out there.
Well, funding has been by guess and by God from the beginning. Uh, from my personal sales and sales from the publishing company that is publishing my stuff now, before COVID, I was going to all kinds of small sales around, especially around Christmas. I mean, every club and organization in California, I guess in the world, but especially in Southern California, has got a Christmas sale or pre-Christmas sale. So from basically Halloween on, I was every weekend between then and Christmas, I was at a different sale. So that's how I was selling, and I sold pretty well there. But since COVID has come along, all those sales disappeared. So, so many around Christmas, I was up because I'm connected with the U.S. Air Force. I was on the Air Force Base Edwards, which is up from me, and sold a lot of books in the BX there. But even that has kind of dried up because, again, COVID. They basically closed the base down except for essential personnel, so I'm not getting any walk-by traffic. And if you don't have walk-by traffic, you don't sell no books.
So when you're writing, like, do you ever think of audience? Do you have like a set audience you want to reach out to, or do you like want to meet anybody that's like wants to read your book? How do you think about that when you're like writing or like publishing?
I don't have an audience in mind, just anybody who likes to read. I try to write it so it's interesting enough that somebody who is just reading for the sake of reading will like it, will find it amusing, will learn something from it. Yeah, but specifically, I don't write for John Jones or nobody, you know. Just I write for anybody who likes to read.
So, any advice for younger authors out there or people that are struggling their writing? Like, I know your answer is going to be, but I want to hear from you.
Always, people ask me that, and I always tell them, look, if you can possibly not do this, don't do it. Quit. Because working like this, trying to sell, creating like this, it will hurt you. I promise. But, all that being said, if you've got to write, then sit your ass down and write. Because that's the only way you'll ever get rid of it. Otherwise, it will nag you like, I don't know, an itch. Go away. But I'm not fooling. I have told a lot of people, if you can possibly not do this, don't.
Yeah, that's great to have that passion and this love for what you do. Like sometimes I don't want to do this, but it's like sometimes it's like I want to get out there. I want to share stories of other people too, and share my story. So it's like this is like the best way to do it now. Like we can
Exactly.
exchange. So
Yeah, exactly. I have something special. Just the book that I'm working on now. Again, it's very thinly veiled my life because my life has been very adventurous in a lot of ways and a lot of things. I haven't lived I have lived an extraordinary life between the one I'm writing about right now is our early struggles before we got in the Air Force, which during that time I was driving a cab and I was working 2 or 3 jobs, and my wife was taking care of the baby and working 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. So especially driving the cab was a huge adventure.
mm.
And I'm writing about the adventure of it right now. But then later on, I have written about the adventure of going to school in the South during the 60s. I mean, there was a lot of adventure in that. You're way too young to remember.
I know. Wait, I'm reading about. I read about it in documentary. That's the only reason I know about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, because there were times in various places where there was really a chance you could get shot,
mm.
especially a white guy
Yeah.
working with a group of black guys who were my friends, my fraternity brothers.
Mm.
But you happen to be marching down the road here, just minding your own business or walking down the railroad tracks to go wash your clothes. All of a sudden, state police show up and everybody hands up against the wall. But we didn't do nothing. We're just carrying our clothes. So that happened a lot. And then, of course, when Dr. King was shot, I was supposed to be there that day.
Wow.
It happened, and I had to stay on campus. So I was on campus rather than in Memphis. The next year, when we did an honor for Dr. King, I made sure I didn't care if I failed every damn class. I made sure I was down there that day. And again, there was a good chance we could have gotten shot. There were some shots fired, some crazy people throwing smoke grenades around. But we got through it. And again, it certainly makes for good storytelling.
Yeah, definitely though. I'm so intrigued by these stories, man. It's just like you never like know what you're gonna be into, man. Especially that time, it's so different now too. I mean, we're seeing some crazy shit right now, but like it's like living through it now, man. It's like it's always gonna be something, So
Yeah.
like you said, having that outlet. I think of writing, and art is always important too. So
Yes, completely. You can pull it together inside yourself for the sake of understanding it. I don't know how this happened, but now as I write, okay, I can see how it happened now, and I can sort of see why it happened now. But I really couldn't before I sat down and coagulated it in print. And that's the story of my life. I'm coagulating my life in print.
So what's been the feedback from readers from your stories?
Everything from "this is really great, I really got pulled into this, I really understood," to "man, this sucks." There's no accounting for taste. And I have a friend of mine who is also a writer. He lives up north. We have just gone through a whole mess. I sent him my latest book, Sufficient, and he read through it, and he said it was okay, but he wished it had been better. I don't know what that means exactly.
So there was no feedback. You just said it could have been better. He didn't give you like details.
Right. Didn't give me any details particularly on that one. He did send me his latest book, which I read through, and I wish it had been better. That was all I could say to him. But from other people, especially those who really got no axe to grind, they paid for the book, and they read it. And for that, I have gotten a lot of great feedback, especially on my first book of the time in the 60s. There are actually two books. The first one is called Serpents and Doves. And then the next one is immediately after that called Sufficient, which is actually also from the Bible, which says, sufficient unto that day is the evil thereof. So that's why I just borrowed sufficient out of it. And I have gotten great feedback on that one. The greatest feedback, of course, is sales on that one. And I haven't been able to be out to sell them that way. But on Amazon, I've sold 18 books in the last couple of months.
Wow, congrats.
That really surprised me. Usually, I haven't sold a lot online, through Amazon. But hey, I'll take it. I'm not proud.
Yeah, I think this time with the quarantine and the pandemic, everybody wants to get something stories and an escape kind of, from even if the stories like you said from the 60s, those are real stories, they're fiction though. Still, people want to have an escape too, so it's always good to have too.
Yeah, you're right, and that's probably has a lot to do with it. I did also get one back from a lady who bought a Serpents and Doves a year ago, and was mentioned on Facebook, and she popped up and said, "Yeah, it's a great book. I've got it on my hang on to it shelf high in my office." So, fine, if they want to hang on to them, go at it. If you want to turn around and sell them or give them away, that's okay too.
So, where can people find your book, though? What's your website and Amazon tag? People can find it.
Any of the Amazon, of course, all you got to do is novels of G. Lloyd Helm, and it's going to take you to basically my page there. It's got like 7 of my books on it. But you can also Google me, because there are a group of small anthologies around that have also got my stories in them. I was just looking. I got them behind me there, which you can't see. My big head's in the way. But I was counting them yesterday. I've got 11 different anthologies with my work in them.
Wow.
And there are more than that, because I haven't managed to gather them all.
So what's the genre you like to work on, or you wanted to try before that you haven't before? Or are you just open?
It's pretty much open. I have a book of short stories now that is being considered by an English publisher. And the name of that book is 3 Degrees Off True. Every story is a little bit twisted. Got everything from a writer selling his soul to the devil to the ghost of Mark Twain's celebrated jumping frog. It covers a whole bunch of very twisted things. Excuse me a second.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Wasn't that important, I guess.
answering people who are trying to sell me something.
That's always great. Oh yeah. So next question was, how do you find the line between perfect and imperfect? I know that's the hard question, but
yeah. Well, it's both hard and easy. There is no such thing as perfect, and I do not let imperfect or the search for perfection get in the way of writing, which my writing is imperfect. I'm sorry, there's no other way to say it. It's good, but it's not perfect by any means. So the line between perfect and imperfect, I would say the real line is, do you have something on paper? If you have something on paper, no matter how imperfect it is, it's perfect.
So thank you for your time, and it's been great telling your story. So I have to have a part 2 of this interview. It's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too. I appreciate being here.
Awesome. So we can find Gary Lloyd G.L.Lloyd Helm on Amazon. You can find them all online too. Just novels of G. Lloyd Helm. So
Right.
make sure you guys check out his books. And thank you guys for watching. Countless Vlogcast. You can watch this again on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all platforms. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Thank you all.